unprecedented things happening in Sri Lanka. We are looking at the largest fraud in the Sri Lankan banking history.
The most dangerous threat in an organization is the insider threat.
Internal, socially engineered fraud.
It is the governance problem. The main problem is the knowledge. This compliance process is a joint process.
What happened there, Dr. Aparajitha? Good afternoon, Dr. Aparajitha. It's an honor to have you.
Good afternoon.
I have interviewed a few people, but you're definitely one of the most difficult people to introduce. So I'm not going to make even an attempt on that. Would you take 2 minutes and give an introduction to yourself?
Yes, talking about data protection, I'll start with my data protection qualifications. So, my PhD is in cybersecurity, so it's a data protection is part of cybersecurity. But as a lecturer who started data protection lecturing, I started in 2016 or 17, the moment GDPR came.
Right.
So 2007, after the Computer Crimes Act came, I was teaching a bit on, cyber law and all. Talking about my qualifications, I have 2 BSc degrees. So in one of them, I have done IT. I'm a lawyer. Then I have intellectual property law masters from Wales University. From Colombo University, I have commercial law masters, including intellectual property law, international commercial arbitration, and international trade law. I have 2-year master's degree from Viadrina University, Germany, and Adam Mickiewicz University, Poland, on digital transformation. The subjects were digital sociology, artificial intelligence, Python programming, all these programming languages, and cybersecurity, data protection, artificial intelligence. So there are a lot of subjects. So I have been international reviewer in Scopus Journal for about 15 years now. So my research domain is data protection, cybersecurity, intellectual property, online entrepreneurship, digital entrepreneurship, so on and so forth. So I'm the chapter chairperson of International Association for Privacy Professionals, representing Sri Lanka, and I am the Chief Executive Officer of South Asia Privacy Professionals Association. And I'm one of the senior partners of ATD Legal Associates, a law firm. That's all coming into my mind at this moment. So
Understood. So I don't think anyone has any doubts about your qualifications about this subject. So you started in 1997, so you have close to 30 years of experience on this subject, right? What drew you to this particular subject of cybersecurity, data privacy? What attracted you?
IT, of course, I started my IT academic career in 1997, as you said. Data privacy, of course, what happened really was that even with IT, we didn't speak much about data protection. We were talking about all these, programming languages. But in 2007, I love to read, 2005, I was the Deputy Director Legal in Rupavahini Corporation. So I was supposed to do some documents, satellite space leasing agreements to Asian Broadcasting Union in Singapore.
Right.
So there, of course, they didn't have any lawyers to do that. By that time, I have completed one of my masters. So my thesis was all about broadcasting law and satellite uplink, downlink, all these free-to-air signals. It's all about free-to-air signals. So at that time, I tend to study lot of things on not data protection per se, but program carrying signals to uplink, downlink, broadcasting, intellectual property, so on and so forth. So then only I started loving this subject, because after I did my 2 degrees in science, I didn't have any place where to connect them. So one of my colleagues wanted me to connect it through intellectual property law, but somehow the other I wanted to connect all these together.
Right.
So
Understood.
then only I started loving this subject.
Right.
In 2008, if I'm not mistaken, I suggested Java Institute to include this subject in their syllabus to their degrees.
Right.
So they were connected to Swinburne University. So I was the module leader at that time,
Right.
who made the module. Thereafter, NSBM, I was the module leader for Plymouth University
Right.
to have this subject in the syllabus.
Right.
So thereafter, I was in this domain. I was researching, and I was appearing in court cases in cybersecurity and cybercrime matters and all, intellectual property. So this is not a very subject. It's an interdisciplinary subject. So it doesn't fall under anything. I mean, it's a different, unique subject which is interdisciplinary, which fall into cybersecurity, cyber law, intellectual property, online media, everything.
Yes.
So I was in everything. So
This was a natural.
that is where I fit into.
Yeah, no, I see that now. I feel like you've paved your path along the way, and like all the experiences you've gathered kind of fit in at some point perfectly, kind of thing, right?
Yes.
Cool.
Something like that.
You mentioned that you founded the South Asia Privacy Professionals Association, right? Could you tell us a little bit about this? I think this is interesting. What's the gap that you were trying to fill here?
Actually, it came to my mind during COVID period. 2016, I was in 2016 or 2017. I was invited for this. By that time, I have started my PhD. So I was supposed to do a presentation in one of the colloquiums in Malaysia. In that colloquium, I was talking about the humanoid bots. By that time, Sophia just got the citizenship. Sophia, the robot.
Which year are we talking about here? Sorry.
2017 or 2017, if I'm not
Okay. All right.
just born. Sophia
Right.
was just born.
Right.
So I was very enthusiastic about cyborgs.
Same.
I love it, and I love the cyborg theory and all.
Yeah.
I have done a lot of research on cyborg theory. But in my case, of course, I'm more obsessed about connecting these theories to practical aspect. I really thought, my father was a professor, so he's of course he's also interdisciplinary. So from his maybe influence, so in that Malaysian colloquium, I learned a lot. They learned a lot as well, because I was talking about the challenges of humanoid bots by that time.
Yeah, before it was cool.
Yes. So then I learned a lot about artificial intelligence, because Malaysia was, they were implementing a lot of AI tools to identify sicknesses of this farming, the cattle. So if you go through my, type and see, there's a YouTube video, if I'm not mistaken, even that AI presentation.
Right.
So there were a couple of AI presentations. Multiple industries came on that day. So then only I knew that, okay, fine, I'm in the right path. People are using this in the industries. So at that time, of course, I started my everything. Yeah, that's how it happened.
That's how it happened. Understood. So we are here to talk a little bit about the PDPA Act. We know you have a lot of expertise on this. So let's start from the very beginning. If you had to explain the PDPA Act to an average person, how would you explain it?
PDPA means your right, your consent, so your privacy. No one can invade your privacy without your consent. That's all. That's a basic principle of PDPA.
Right.
On top of that, you can fight for your consent.
Understood. Now, who does this apply to? A lot of people, the reason why I'm asking this question is a lot of people assume that this applies to the big banks and the telcos and the big companies. But who is affected by this law?
Impact is upon everyone. It's a cross section, starting from bottom up, from the consumer, from the friend, from your own family to the president.
So it applies to everybody.
Everybody. It's
Yeah.
a human right end of the day.
Right. And in this, we are talking about personal data. A lot of people think personal data means maybe your bank account, only your email address. But what you're saying is anything that can be used to identify you is considered personal data.
Exactly.
Understood. Right. Let's talk about how this applies to Sri Lankan companies in a practical sense, because I know you're a practitioner, you're not just a theoretical expert. What are some of the mistakes that you see right now when companies try to comply with the Personal Data Protection Act?
The main problem is the knowledge. First thing, the governance. The directors don't understand that they are also liable for that. No, now there are two words called data controller and the processor. So from top to bottom, this is a bottom to top scenario, from the consumer to the governance. That's why I told you, from the person to the president. The same way. So they have to be in compliance with the law. Not only with the law, but also with the standards. So law is the piece of legislation which talks about the legality of this protection. But compliance means you have to follow the standards. Now, as an example, I showed you something before this started.
Yes.
So that particular bank, they have ISO 27001/13. So what is the latest ISO standards for privacy? It is 27701. So what are the banks which have been using it? I mean, now see, couple of banks, they had lot of issues in the recent past. When you analyze the situation, all either social engineering attacks or the money has been transferred from one account to another account, all are privacy problems. What is that particular privacy problem? It is the governance problem.
Yes. Understand. So let's touch on this. I think we wanted to talk about this subject with you in depth, right? So in the past few months, we've seen some unprecedented things happening in Sri Lanka. We had the largest bank fraud, over 13 billion rupees happening at NDB Bank, and recently there was an incident in the finance ministry, something close to $2.5 million. And in the last few weeks, we saw something in the postal department, over 625,000 US dollars. What is happening here?
Yeah, so starting from the organizational point of view, one reason is organizations are not respecting the privacy, private data of their stakeholders. They are not at all concerned. Now see, when you talk about banks, now you were referring to banks. As I told you, all these attacks are in either inside attacks, social engineering attack. I'm reiterating, all are privacy. privacy-based attacks. Why privacy-based attacks happen? Now, as an example, if you show your phone, how many SMSs are there from banks? So this particular payment can be made to this particular clothing store, right? So that is privacy violation. So both the companies are data controllers. So data controller, the company, has to be liable, and also not only the organizations but also people. Now when we go to a supermarket, right? Miss, before we pay, Miss, can we get your phone number? So without any hesitation, they are asking the phone number. But without any hesitation, we are giving the phone number. If you go to Westworld, will it happen? I mean, even your friend's number is not given. So on our Women Fancy, we are allowed without authorization. As a culture, we are allowed to give up a number. And organizations are allowed to take our number. Now see, banks. When you talk about KYCs, I have a couple of accounts in a couple of banks. KYC is different. Two KYCs, if you compare KYCs, are different. So if you open a bank account in the same bank, again you are getting a KYC as a director. So they have all your data with the bank. Again they are taking a KYC. One bank to another bank, KYCs are different. Now, as an example, one bank, they were asking me about my marital status. If I'm divorced, if I'm separated, I mean, what is the relationship between opening a bank account and the marital status? They will then ask your dog's name also. So PDPA per se, if they are in compliance, they have to be in compliance with all these domains. Not only, for the sake of getting these ISO standards, but also in the governance level, top to bottom. Even the employee data, it is also personal data, right? So they have to be in compliance with those. These particular certificates, I mean the forms, who auditors, now there are cybersecurity auditors. Do they check one by one? No. Actually, this compliance process is a joint process. This compliance audit is a joint process. That's why now the central bank has made data protection officers compulsory. But are the data protection officers know how to govern this data, how to manage this data? This is all about data management. So it is a different subject which is in the management domain, cybersecurity domain. So cybersecurity CISOs thinks that it's their domain. Law people thinks that since there's act, it's their domain. So that is why company directors have to know where to go, what to do, how to make their governance structure. And also when it comes to banks, central bank has to be having some sort of a monitoring system or punishment system or whatever. Now see, if something happens to a customer, bank customer, what is the dispute resolution process? If they went to, it's a unauthorized access, it's a computer crime as well. Well, bank has done a criminal offense. It's an offense. But if a client goes to CID and complain, will the directors get arrested? No. So I mean, the whole enforcement agencies to people also have to know to fight for their rights. But it is not happening. People are not strong enough also. On top of that, there should be consumer rights organizations also to safeguard these clients.
So, Dr. Aparajitha, we are talking about a fundamental shift, not just for people, but all for companies. And from what I hear from you is that companies and banks have so far tried to be compliant on paper, right? Oh, we are ISO 27,000X certified, right? But in real life, it's defeating the purpose of protecting the data or safeguarding people's data. So now since the PDPA law is in place, what are some of the practical things that companies can start with, in your opinion?
In my opinion, the awareness. So usually this domain is managed by the CISOs. So for training, of course, they take whoever they like.
Right. So people who don't know what a CISO is, if you can explain.
Cyber security officers.
Yeah.
Chief cyber security officers. So so it is an interdisciplinary domain. I mean the data privacy. So cyber security people are not savvy with the governance part of it. Legal people are not savvy with the cyber security part of it. They know the act. Governance and management is something else. So just like human resources management. So the best example. So when it comes to human resources management, you have to manage the smallest person, the laborer to the chairman. So it's like that. So now in any company, you have clients or consumers, even our law firms. So we have clients. So not only these banks, but also all the organizations, they have to be in compliance with this act. So starting from top to bottom or bottom to top, first they have to be aware what should we do with the data. As an example, the best example is insurance companies. I actually empirically I get data from people because I know how the companies be in compliance with this act. I spoke to a couple of insurance agents. Actually, one agent called me. Couple of agents call you. I mean, daily how many calls you are getting. So if the companies are in compliance, how they call us, right? So when I ask from them, how did you find my number? So it's our own organization. It's a known organization. Or else from one of our friends. So there are a lot of referrals. So what happens to this data? Then I asked, what are you doing with this data? Do you know where does it go? So PDPA itself says without consent you can't call. I mean you can't have the number. At least as per the interpretation, without the consent of the person, you can't keep the number in the phone. Theoretically. Right. Now see how many WhatsApp groups we added without the consent. So likewise, from top to bottom, we have to understand the principles of this. Studying the law is not sufficient.
Right. So what you're emphasizing is to start with awareness, what people need.
Yes.
Yeah. So I completely agree with you. Fundamentally, we don't have that as a culture, right?
Exactly.
Like you said, when your supermarket cashier asks for your phone number, you just give it away, right? Sometimes I've had incidents where you enter an apartment building or something, you have to give your phone number.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, where does this data go? And now what you're saying is with the PDPA Act, this is a complete shift from our used to be culture to a privacy culture.
Correct.
Right, understood. So let's come back to NDB and we'll talk about the finance ministry case as well, right? The NDB situation was a internal socially engineered fraud. What happened there, Dr. Aparajitha?
What happened in the sense, it is also the culture. Culture comes first in any matter. So it's insider threat. So the most dangerous threat in an organization is the insider threat. I mean, this won't happen in a country like Ireland, Germany. This won't happen. They are very ethical. So ethics comes first, and also monitoring part of it. Now NDB, of course, I don't have the direct information about it, but what I heard from very close information, even the audit trails have been disclosed. I mean, the person, the software developer, he should have the passwords and audit trails. But if the passwords were asked by the company, what will happen? Now the same thing happened in this identity card thing. So it is it's detrimental. On top of that, the data transfers. So who are the responsible people?
Right.
So if an insider threat happens, who is responsible? Who is accountable? Not only the person who did that, but also the monitoring bodies, cyber security auditors, and there should be some sort of a monitoring mechanism.
Right.
My God, imagine, somebody is, it is not like gossiping. Gossiping per se, it is, you can't, identify the person, but it has been happening for a while, I suppose.
Yes, for sure.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, if you look at the incident, when they first reported it, it was reported as somewhere around 380 million. And within 3 days, it was bumped up to 13 some billion rupees. So that just shows that there was a complete miscalculation of the gravity of the situation, right? From what we see as governance people, right, governance solutions providers, this is a complete ignorance of the governance structure of the bank. So for example, any business unit would have their internal governance structure, or they do their business risk, right? And for a bank, then there's a audit and compliance layer, right? This was even passed through that. And of course, there's another layer for external auditors. So
Yes.
this was a failure on all three levels.
Yeah, I'll explain it with a very nice theory. I love that theory. So in digital sociology, we learn, you told me that I'm not a theorist, I'm a theorist as well. I apply theory to the practical situation. So, and theory, actor network theory. So what actor network theory says is that in a network model, so these are models, business models, network model, actors are connected with each other, like a web, just like the web. So if one actor does something, it is not a individual activity. There may be minimum 2 actors. So here, now see the web. Insider dealing happened, and there's a network. Cyber security people are there, governance bodies are there. On top of that, who is governing the banks? The central bank is there, indirectly, right? So all are liable, all are responsible, not one person. This privacy thing, of course, it is very clear with that, data controller is liable, data processors are liable. So who are the data processors? These people who are involved in that. So unauthorized access. So when it comes to unauthorized access, who authorized that? So actually, if you reverse engineer this whole process, the CID has to arrest all these people, not one person. Even the bank is liable. How? With regard to compliance. So if the bank is liable, what does the central bank has to do? So they have to either blacklist. So there should be some sort of a process. Actually, this, what I don't understand is that why these people are not, collectively thinking. They have to have a bird's eye view on issues. The legal issues, of course, it is very straightforward in this country. They don't have the, collective mindset of looking at a problem in bird's eye view. So there are a lot of laws are involved. No, we have the laws. The only problem is, they don't look at the proper scenario and reverse engineer and connect the dots.
Right. So now you mentioned like who's liable and who's supposed to take a close look at this, right? One of the reasons is that we are just establishing the Data Protection Authority in Sri Lanka as we speak. It's still a startup regulator, infant regulator, right? Now, from my opinion, we are looking at the largest fraud in the Sri Lankan banking history, right? And people think, okay, my bank account is not with this bank, so I'll be fine, right? But the bigger picture here is we are looking at a catastrophic situation.
Yes.
Right? Now, for example, banks run on trust. Now, when people lose the trust on the bank, what they will do is they'll start pulling money out,
True.
right? So potentially, and that's why I think the central bank completely stopped all stock market transactions and tried to take over the situation at NDB, right? But if this spiraled, we are looking at a complete collapse of the financial industry in Sri Lanka. Potentially, this will be worse than the economic crisis that we went through 2 years ago.
True.
Right? So we need to have some sort of structure, and now the law is in place, but this has to be seriously looked at from now on at least.
Of course. Actually, a couple of years back, I predicted this situation.
Right.
Because now, actor network theory, again, I'm bringing this because it's a very beautiful theory on digital transformation. So, now see the connection of these frauds and the war situation. So, there's a cyber warfare going on. So, now see what happened to, these developing countries. So, vulnerability of websites, vulnerability of cybersecurity. I have been speaking about this for about a couple of years. And also vulnerability of these gaming apps, vulnerability of cryptocurrency platforms. I've been talking, I have done my research on that, and I have done so many publications. Who are we? I mean, we are no one. I'm not the president. I'm not the minister. Some woman who is talking about it. Who cares? That's the problem. So, there should be a mechanism in this country or in any country. Now, see, when it comes to Germany, they are the governments are led. Governments are properly advised. In Singapore, now I have done a lot of consultancies for Singapore. I have done a lot of consultancies for a European country. I am one of the very few, I'm the only Sri Lankan who made a cybersecurity honeypot to a EU country. So it is with my team, apparently. So who takes the, advice? Right? So when policies are published, you have to go to the website and see, whether this policy is published, I must, give a public opinion. Who takes care of it? Who dares to, look at our, comments? Now see, this cyber security strategy was made. And ICTA has, published their cloud security policy. For both of them, I made my comments. For both of them, cyber security experts, SLIT, I'll give the name, SLIT gave their, university gave their, comments. But no one has concerned. It's a waste of time, We are analyzing all these and, giving our opinion. Actually, there's no forum for us to also speak. Like, if we call like this randomly, somehow or the other, you have found me. So that's the thing.
Understood. Let's talk a little bit now. We spoke about the NDB situation, right? Now let's talk about the situation at the finance ministry that happened, right? Now this is of course a bit of a different situation. It's a public entity and it's more of an external kind of an attack. What happened here, Dr. Aparajitha?
Actually, the thing is, since the government organizations are not transparent, we don't know the exact picture. But when I apply the theory to this particular situation, it is connected to this cyber warfare. So I assume, because a lot of things happen, because I've been monitoring all these issues. I have published that also. Can you remember there were some emails accusing people? I mean, you have a court case against you. Actually, IGP, it is under IGP's signature. So that is psychological warfare. And there was another incident also, but I can't remember. But all throughout all these incidences, I mean, the attacking government websites happen with the warfare. Whenever a warfare happens in anywhere in the world, these things happen, cyber terrorism happens. So here, there's a connection to terrorism as well, because cyber terrorists mainly attack the government critical infrastructure. So when you talk about the critical infrastructure, how vulnerable it is. So once I questioned from from the officials, different officials, right? This is the vulnerability. Actually, we have done a lot of vulnerability studies. Then they didn't have any solution. Then I spoke to the higher officials of there are a lot of responsible people. No? What they say is that we don't have money. Why you need money to manage the governance? I mean, whatever the resources you have, you can use. There's no need of, we have actually tool-wise, we have cybersecurity tools in companies. I mean, even now these banks, they have cybersecurity tools. Oh my God, how expensive they are. But do they have cybersecurity governance model? Is it documented? When the CISO is transferred, does anyone know how to do it? I mean, is the CISO capable enough of doing that governance? I mean, from the chairman to the director board, they have to know how to, do this, because the governance structure is made by the governance people. My company, your company, who takes decisions? Who plays the ball?
At the end of the day, management has to have a big part in this.
Big part in that. Even the Sri Lankan problem, I mean, attacks to the government websites, it is a huge problem. I mean, the treasury is attacked. I mean, no wonder.
So, I mean, for a normal person who sees this or listens to this, right? The initial reaction would be, okay, if one of the largest banks is attacked, if the finance ministry is attacked, like, what hope do I have? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For a small company, they are not ready at all, right? But let's talk about now large banks, of course, large companies, public organizations, complex situations, right? Awareness is one thing. What are some of the steps that a small company can take, Dr. Aparajitha, to safeguard their personal data that they collect and make sure that things like this don't happen at a smaller scale for them?
Yeah, so smallest companies have to, as per the PDPA, DPO, Data Protection Officer is the position is there. But small companies, of course, the director board can decide on the policy of the data protection policy. So as an example, my particular firm, what we do is that we correspond via emails. Only one point of contact is there. So we don't share our clients' data with all the lawyers in the firm. So the particular lawyer who is assigned to that particular job has to get the message from the secretary. Even I can't access the emails. So only one point of contact. So likewise, we have to, from the website itself. Now, Data Protection Act is very specific about privacy by design. Even your website has to, protect privacy. But unfortunately, Data Protection Act doesn't talk about privacy by design and default. So the EU has, gone far. I mean, while we were, drafting this. So privacy by design and default. Now, when it comes to software companies, there are a lot of startups. Software companies, do they adhere to this privacy by design and default?
Right. If you had to explain, this is a very interesting topic that you're talking about. I want to expand on this. What is privacy by design?
Yes. So I'll take a simple example, KYCs in the banks. So it is, the form is a design, right? So privacy principles are fairness, lawfulness, transparency, so on and so forth. So when you go through the application itself, in the application you have to fill all your details, including your husband's this thing, whether married or not. But privacy means data you have to limit. You have to know the purpose. So you have to collect the data only for that purpose. What is the purpose? Purpose is to open a bank account. But what they say is that central bank has advised. So central bank has to, have the regulatory power. There should be some regulations on these KYC. So from that pinch, that small part, from there, you have to start privacy. Privacy by design is that.
Yeah. So what you're saying is fundamentally, instead of thinking of privacy at the end or in the middle, you think of privacy from the start. It is the foundation for everything. Understood.
From the first client, because privacy is a human right.
Right.
So it's a human-centered law. So you can't think of the organization-centered mindset. So it's the privacy-centered. As at the time you step into the bank, from the CCTV cameras, you have to, preserve privacy. That is, so how do we know? When it comes to these hotels. Now, there was this incident, some lady doctors have been recorded. So what is the, integrity and what is the responsibility of the hotel?
Understood.
So there are two things. They were identified because of the CCTV cameras.
So, Dr. Aparajitha, of course, you come here as a resource person, as an expert on this subject. Where can people find you?
Actually, I'm in LinkedIn, but I'm not a very fan of Facebook. I'm in LinkedIn. So professional people can find me in LinkedIn. If you Google my name, you will find my research in SSRN or ResearchGate or Google Scholar or wherever. So yeah, I'm very visible.
Understood. We'll put the links on the description as well. In closing, Dr. Aparajitha, if you can leave with one thought on personal data protection, what would that be?
Okay, so people, you have to know your rights. Organizations, you have to know the personal data protection rights, the data subject rights. The governments, the policymakers, you have to be very concerned about the governance and the policies staying on this particular human right.
So, Dr. Aparajitha, as Xapi, we have compiled a playbook for any company that wants to comply with the Personal Data Protection Act. We are calling it the Personal Data Compliance Playbook. I would love to give you a copy of this and would love for you to review it.
Thank you, Shanaka. I'll do it as soon as possible. So I have something for you also. So these attacks and everything I have predicted from 2015 or 2014.
Okay.
So this is another compilation of my research articles. So there's one article which has been the most downloaded articles in the world.
Okay.
So I'm presenting that to you.
Thank you, Dr. Aparajitha.
Welcome.
Dr. Aparajitha, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.